I first bought an little A7 watercolor journal. Look how cute it is. It's so cute and tiny. I first bought this in March of 2020, just before all the everything, very beginning of March 2020. I bought the first one of this. We were about to go on a trip for homeschool group. We were about to we just moved into our cabin. So I was very into small things because I lived in a very small space. And I remember saying to my podcast partner, I love this journal. I am going to use it to do a painting every morning of the view out my back door for two reasons. One, to try and make progress on my watercolor skills, but also my big motivation, I guess is the word I'm looking for. My big motivation was to document what was the year that turned into 4. The year that we were living in the cabin. It was supposed to be a little hiatus between our house in town that we'd sold and our new house that we were planning to build. And so I thought that could be just a really fun way of documenting this year and this in-between time, celebrate it for what it was, just a fun little chapter. It did indeed turn out to be 4 years. I did not paint every morning of 4 years, but I did fill one book and I bought a second one because I loved the process so much. And I did start painting in this one in August of 2022. And then I did a few pages in through August. And then I kind of let it just drop off. I tried to restart at the beginning of 2023. Yeah, beginning of 2023, which ended up being our last year in the cabin. But I did like 3 pages. And so it was finished by about there. So that's what I'd done. And that was all the spare, had all of that. And so this little booklet sat in this box up here called Current Journals, being not very current. And in March, my focus area for the month was watercolors. And I decided as part of that, I was going to restart my morning sketch habit because it was just such a fun way to ease into the day, to add some creativity before I got started on chores and mum life and homeschooling and all the things that have to happen every morning. And it was fun when I first did it, watching my progression. And so I decided I would do it again. My current view, while beautiful, isn't necessarily conducive to the style of sketching I'm trying to do with this project. So I printed off a photo and I didn't do every day in March, but I managed to do a reasonable amount. I might have done 10 days. But today I would like to give you a bit of a flip through my little journals. I recorded myself painting one morning, and so I'd like to invite you to sit just for 10 minutes, grab a photo, look at the scene outside your window, paint along with me. I'm not going to add music or anything. I'm just going to let you enjoy the peace and quiet, I think. I don't know. I'll see when I get to editing because the quiet might be a little bit too much. So let's take a flip through and then we can get painting. So this is my first one here. So it is a Strathmore watercolor A7. So cute. So this is my very first one that I didn't end up actually starting the project until towards the middle of March. And so I'm just literally front and back of each page painting the same scene over and over and over, with the idea that the only thing that changes is my perception of it, my abilities, my interpretations. And you can see as I go, I start adding things like the shadows and stuff. I'm not sure what I was sketching there, but obviously I've added in a couple of different things along the way. Yeah. Obviously we need to mow at that point. Same here, there's a bit of grass around, changing colors, working on getting my color mixing, color matching. This one was painted at like 5 a.m., which is why it's so dark, just to keep in the habit and to also record something a bit different. Then obviously we start coming into autumn. I'm starting to play with different ways of getting the trees in the background, working on my perspectives. That is actually really fun to see. Oh, and that was from Anzac Day, I'm not quite sure. Anzac Day, Remembrance Day, probably Remembrance. So that was book 1. I haven't looked at that, I don't think, since we've moved at least. So yeah, and so I kind of just restarted it a little bit, but you can tell my heart wasn't really in it at this point. And then, so this is my current one. Yeah, so this is the photo I used as my reference photo to create these sketches. So I took that just because the scene at the time, I didn't actually have the intention of doing this, but the scene at the time took my fancy. So I started this at the beginning of March this year. And again, I did front and back, even though you're probably not supposed to. So I use a Micron pen I used the '05 version of this, the Micron Pigma, to outline, and then I would come back in and add the color and stuff. And then this one here I actually didn't outline, so I was just working on just sketching without having the base there, which was a good exercise. Same here, I didn't sketch. Yeah, started to play with color, playing with adding texture in and trying to get those details captured. You can see how it evolves. I start adding extra trees out here, trying to get the perspective and the scale right. And again, I've got maybe half of it done. I would like to continue with my morning sketches. I'm not entirely sure what to sketch though. Maybe I should do out my big vast view and see if that pushes me. Maybe I need to go for a walk this weekend and do a little photo walk, pick a new photo to work from. I'm not entirely sure. I'll think on that, but for now, let's paint together. I'm going to flick over. Come join me at my table of a morning. You can see kind of out my window, enjoy my view. And we're just going to sit for 10 minutes and paint together, and I'll show you which particular page I paint at the end. And that is my finished piece. Thank you for painting with me today. I hope you've enjoyed this peek behind my process, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video.